that?
Sure.
Talk, Gabe.
Talking. Speaking. I am speaking into the microphone. Mac and cheese into the microphone. Speaking.
Yeah, no delay. No delay, Gabe.
That's cool.
Well, since there's no delay, I'm gonna let this roll as the B-roll. Would you stop?
Yeah.
So
you don't like corresponding those two words?
Hold on. So
yeah.
Let me tell you something about my mom's.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So you helped your mom move today, right?
Yeah, we're moving and grooving, right? We're moving stuff. It's me and Adam.
Talking about some Earth, Wind, Fire. Let's move tonight.
Yeah, we're moving some shit.
Let's groove tonight.
Yes. And we're making some good time, right? So basically, we got the little couch, the big couch, my sister's mattress, and box spring.
I love how everybody has like a little couch and a big couch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we get there, all right? So, we get everything in, but then there's the big couch.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like an art
talking like a full 3-seater sofa type of shit?
Yeah, it's 7.5 feet long.
Oh,
and my mom lives on the
boy.
Yeah, my mom lives on the first floor now.
Okay.
And there's not a whole lot of room to
wiggle.
To wiggle at all. So, like I said, everything else is in. So, first 30 minutes is like, how are we gonna do it, right?
Formulating.
So we get it done. We're starting to move it and going. So we try the front first, right? The front door, and there's maybe 6 feet tall, 6.5 feet tall, maybe.
You're here under the sea in the background. It's great. So 6.5 feet tall, right? Trying to move it, but you got 7.5 feet.
Yeah, we got 7.5 feet. So we're trying to wiggle it, right? And I'm looking at it. I'm like, man, it's not gonna fit. I'm like, if anything, let's try the back door. Maybe the back door will help. We gotta maybe that's like 7 feet, but we still got a half a foot to account for, right? Uh-huh. So we're wiggling, we're fighting it, and it's like 2.5 hours in at this point, right? At this point, her landlord comes in. He's a handy guy, nice guy, new landlord. So we're like, yeah, I'm like, we're stuck. We don't know what to do. And he's like, well, let's try this. So we hit the front again, and we're fighting with it. And then we try the back again, and we continue to fight with it. So at this point, there's the landlord was looking at it, it's like,
not gonna work.
This ain't going in, intact, right? Uh-huh. And it's such a serious thing that, like I said, because my mom lives on the first floor, we're looking at the window pane, and he's looking at it. He's like,
pop out the window.
Can this come out? Fortunately it's glued down, so can't do that. So this dude's like, all right, let's chop this thing in half, essentially, or break it off at the staples, and reattach the staples when it's inside. So again, this is the landlord doing this now. So me and Adam are looking, and we're helping him, and so he takes out the staples, and the whole top half is gone, basically, and this motherfucker still ain't going, bro.
Jesus.
This thing is not going. And me and Adam, like I said, this is my mom's new place, right? So we're not trying to, we scuffed up the wall a little bit. We're not gonna lie, but we're not trying to put fucking dents in the wall, essentially, right?
Right, first day in.
Yeah. So this guy, like I said, breaks it in half, right? And he's pushing, and me and Adam are like, you might want to slow down a little bit. And he didn't. He pushed this motherfucker, and this is what it did.
Oh no! Is that the ceiling?
Yeah.
You put a nice fat old hole in the ceiling.
Yeah, for those of you who didn't see, obviously, I'm going to try to post this up with the podcast. I'm going to try to attach it somehow. A picture of this massive fucking gash in the fucking ceiling of my mom.
Is that on the inside of her place?
It's the outside.
Ooh.
It's on the outside, so the neighbor's going to walk in and be like, what the fuck happened? Yeah.
Well, I'm glad the landlord did it.
Yeah,
not
so
you guys.
That's what me and Adam were talking about. I was like, Mom, my mom was super bummed. My mom gets really stressed out really easily. I'm like, it was either that happened, maybe we could put it back together, or it just didn't get in. You'd have to give away a couch.
Yeah.
So a big ass gash, and the guy's like, don't worry about it, I'll fix it. So he's in charge of it. But it was like a 3.5 hour long episode, and we had another trip to do. And I looked at my mom, I'm like, Ma, it's 3:00. I'm like, I got to go home. A, I got to shower. B, I got to get my show ready. I got stuff ready for the show, right? So by the time, I got home, I showered. Me and Adriana took a run to Best Buy because she washed my headphones again. And we bought some DVDs and stuff. So, this is where we are now. But I thought it would be kind of a fun little opening. I asked my mom for permission to see if we can use it for the opening of the show because she was super upset.
Jesus. And wild and wacky.
Yeah.
Now these are proper podcast notes.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of fun, and as a little update.
Cool, man. I took a 3-hour nap today.
Hey, man, while you're that amount of time you spent napping, I spent contemplating my life and whether we're gonna get this damn couch into a door.
When it's cold out and you got to walk somewhere, or you want to walk, I guess.
Yeah.
Because we were out walking the dogs, and it wasn't like brutally cold. It was like 22 out. But like when I got back in the house, I felt like the tendons and ligaments in like the back of my leg and like my hamstrings were like frozen over.
Yeah, man.
And it sucks.
It's a sign of aging. Because like when I was helping my mom, my knee popped like really loud and it fucking hurt for like a solid 45 minutes. Started to shake it off a little bit near the end, but I don't know.
It's that UPS, man.
Yeah.
they fuck their bodies up real good.
Yeah, they beat me down a little bit, not gonna lie.
I mean, you saw what happened to my foot that one day.
This is true.
Drop that 150-pound cam down it, and you're like, "Are you okay?" Yeah. Yeah, I'll be good.
Yeah, definitely. So that was my morning. My mom picked me up like at 8:30, and that was basically my whole entire.
Hey man, you got your exercise in for the day?
Oh yeah, it was a workout, man. I was able to throw like the smaller couch over my head, so I still got some strength in this body.
Yeah,
a little old, beaten down.
Maybe
but
we should start taking better care of ourselves.
Perhaps.
Yeah, it's only gonna get worse and harder as time goes on.
Yeah, it sucks. And
all right,
it didn't help the fact that it's fucking freezing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So you ready to rock and roll?
Born ready to rock and roll.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Second City Kids podcast, episode number 108.
108.
Yeah, man. Trekking along to 200. No, too early to start that.
Maybe 150?
125.
Yeah, all right. I think that's a happy medium.
Yeah, because that's probably about, that's a quarter of a year, right? No.
25 is like half the year, buddy.
Yeah.
There's 52 weeks.
Oh, man. Think about it. That's going to be another 2 years before we hit that.
So
at least
in 25 or 26 episodes, we're going to be in like end of September. So it's probably going to be like right after or right before your birthday.
True.
Huh. That's weird.
Oh, man.
Weird thoughts.
Yeah.
All right. So on this episode, we decided we're going to do 4 a week. No.
Yeah, right.
Fuck that.
No. We don't even have the time for that.
I don't think I could stand you four times a week anymore.
Same. Yeah. We too much time apart.
Maybe when we still like barely knew each other. But
yeah. When we're just still discovering the little nuances of each other's personality.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and kick off this podcast with some shit that made the internet explode. And I don't know how closely you follow the podcast news out there, Gabe. So basically, I didn't receive it, but I knew like a large portion of the podcast community did, where Apple's like, basically, if your podcast has the word episode and a number in it, that there's a good chance that they will delete your feed from the Apple Store. So naturally, everybody freaked the fuck out, right?
Yeah, I'd imagine like 60% of all podcasts use that nomenclature.
Probably more. All right, and I was thinking about this. I'm like, let's think about the logistics of this. That's a lot of podcasts, right? And even for each individual podcast group that does that, there's hundreds of episodes. Think about Joe Rogan.
1,300 odd episodes.
So you would have to change the name. Maybe not him personally.
Jamie.
Jamie. Jamie.
Poor guy.
Would have to change every single fucking episode to fit this new thing. But naturally, with any big change, there can be a really big backlash from the community. And they're like, and basically, Apple was like, well, you misunderstood what we said. We didn't mean that we would remove you. So basically, they kind of.
You think that was a Disney thing?
I don't know what the fuck's going on with that, but
because episode and number,
Star
Wars, no,
I think that would be really what's the word I'm looking for? Arrogant of Disney to pull such thing. But I don't know. They said something about the metadata. I don't know. I'm not that deep into the whole nerdom.
The data about the data that makes no sense. But all right,
yeah. So I don't know, but they said that basically they weren't going to do it, but it was part of the whole the shitstorm that happened earlier this week. Yeah,
interesting.
Like I said, I'm a member of a few Facebook groups when it comes to podcasting, and everybody's like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like, I don't know, dude. I didn't get it, but some people did, and I just thought it was interesting. Speaking of podcasts, things that worth noting.
Oh, speaking of Joe Rogan and Joe Rogan podcasts,
you guys may have heard of him, right? So I think
just this small kind of internet talk show,
Yeah, no big deal. I think potentially one of the greatest podcasts in history.
Very easily.
Yeah.
Especially not only one of the greatest podcasts, because he's definitely up there. But one of the best episodes of this particular podcast aired this week.
Uh-huh.
And it was the episode with Eddie Bravo and Alex Jones. And this bitch went, 5 hours, 40 minutes?
5 hours and some change, yeah.
5 hours and some change, man. Holy shit.
I can't even think about sitting in a room for 5 hours thinking of things to talk about.
Honestly, it was, man. It was a trip.
Okay, so let me preface this by saying I didn't get all the way through it yet. I still got like 45 minutes left because I've been knocking this thing out in chunks.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to, man. I told you when I heard Bravo and Alex Jones fucking like arguing over shit, I was like, dude, I am losing brain cells by the second right now.
Wait, hold on. Well, let me. Okay, Eddie Bravo.
Let's back it up.
Yeah, Eddie Bravo. He's an okay guy. He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Some of his
Views
are a little.
and his objectivity towards everything.
Yeah.
Well, I can't confirm it.
Yeah. He's always contrarian, always devil's advocate in that regard, right? So I get it. But Alex Jones, let's talk about this guy for a minute. Okay, don't get me wrong. He's a fucking lunatic, right? Now, not to say that he's not a lunatic with some good points, right? I think...
All right, because I was thinking about this the other day, right? I think in the grand ocean of Alex Jones conspiracies and bullcrap, I think you pull out a couple of pearls, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure there's some stuff in there that is either verifiable or, makes sense in the long run. Shit like that. But I think it's literally everything else that bogs him down so much. Because, he was talking about some wild stuff, but like, not to say that I'm an Alex Jones advocate, because I'm not. He did have some valid points. He's a man that draws solid conclusions, even though, a lot of the times it's like, how the fuck did we get here?
Yeah. I was definitely put him in the category of intelligent, misunderstood individual. I think, like I said, I don't think he's a dumbass. I think that's going too far. But I think there is a way about his delivery of his message. I think because he's very abrasive.
This dude's like sandpaper.
Yeah, and just kind of, like I said, just the kind of the package that he delivers his message in is kind of, even if you do slightly agree with him, you dislike him just due to the fact that he's the one who said it.
It's like if you're not an Alex Jones supporter, an InfoWars supporter, right? And you're just kind of like general population kind of person, it's almost embarrassing to admit that he has a point because he's just so associated with, like I said, like the 99% of bullshit that he drops out.
Yeah.
Because, he is a good speaker at the end of the day. And he does have very few drops of validity in a lot of the shit he says.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, I'd like to see I'd like to see a Monsters Inc. dub where they replace Sully's voice with Alex Jones' voice. But yeah, man, this podcast was wacky, and it's kind of weird to listen about a podcast talk about another podcast.
Yeah,
but fuck, man, there's some shit in there. There's some really good shit.
Yeah, and like I said, once I heard it was happening, I'm like, okay, we all, like, everybody who's ever been a fan of a podcast ever needs to,
because we've had them both separately.
Yeah,
we've had Eddie Bravo for a number of episodes now. Yeah. He's like a good friend of JR, but Alex Jones, we've had a couple with him too, but putting both those dudes in a room, I feel like Joe Rogan was there just as the ref, like, all right, time out.
And I think there's a funny moment, like about 2 hours in, where Eddie Bravo finally joins the show and they talk about flat Earth.
And Alex Jones is like, no, fuck that. That's too crazy even for me.
Yeah, and Alex Jones is like, no, absolutely not. He's like, you know what? I'm going to send you to the ice wall. You're going to be the one. Fuck the scientists. Fuck the astronauts. You're going to be the one that discovers that the Earth is flat. And listen to me. That whole thing had me fucking rolling on the floor.
Oh, he freaked out on him.
Yeah, God. But yeah, so like you said, it is a little...
honestly, if you're not the type of person to sit down and listen to it all, GRE clips is the way to go. Because they'll break it up into nice 25-minute sections for you, and you can enjoy it.
Absolutely.
And I listen to those on my way to work sometimes. But man, dude, this one was fucking wild.
How do you feel about Joe Rogan as a whole? As like a podcast? Obviously, he's probably the most recognizable, maybe outside of Adam Carolla, as far as podcasting and kind of a pioneer in that.
I'd say like him, Matt Mercer, Carolla, all those guys have very good podcasts. Yeah, I think he's kind of in the same boat as like a lot of his guests, man. Like they have a lot of very valid points. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of like scientific objectivity, but like the fact that like, you don't believe we actually landed on the moon. Yeah. It kind of puts you in that like, okay, maybe he's lost a little bit of his marbles. Yeah. And it's weird to think that like, because if you listen to like a lot of those like drug episodes, like, oh man, there was this crazy rich experience, where, and I'm totally like, I totally get that. I'm all for that, finding yourself, because it's all drugs are at the end of the day. But then like listening to that, it's like, yeah, man, that's really insightful. And then going to, yeah, man, we never landed on the moon is like, fuck, dude.
Yeah,
That's a jump skip, and a fucking leap.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but somebody said, I saw it in a meme once where it's like everybody's getting crazy about the Joe Rogan podcast, yet we all had that stoner. My friend's stoner brother in the basement saying the same exact shit, and everybody looked like him, like he was stupid and shit like that. I thought it was kind of funny, but I mean, I think as far as like being a podcast host in general, he's just a good job.
He's a good host, yeah. You can tell when he has somebody on the podcast that he like admires, like Elon Musk, because he'll like speak less and he'll like, you know, debate, argue, whatever it is. He's like less involved and he'll just kind of let them roll with it.
Yeah, because he's like almost in awe, especially with the Elon Musk episode where he was like, "What? What do you mean? Is that what? You're working on that? Huh?" Like that type of stuff. He had a great one with James Hetfield from Metallica. I thought that was a pretty good one. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's kind of meta to be talking a podcast within a podcast. But
I think his guests overall, I think that guest lineup isn't going to get any better, man. He's had so many like good, famous, influential people. You name it.
Yeah,
you name it. He's had them on, but.
Very cool. All right,
so let's get back to our podcast.
Yes, this is what we do. So I looked at this agenda, Gabe, and did you put anything on here at all?
Dude, I did not, man. I had a very busy week.
That's fair.
My week was so busy, I didn't even get a chance to buy the Ghost Inside tickets.
Yeah.
And it sold out in 30 minutes.
Well,
we'll speak about that.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But yeah, man.
All right, so let's go ahead and open up with movies, all right? So.
Oh, you finally saw Tag.
Yeah.
I think I gave this review almost like a year ago, roughly this time.
Oh, so you saw it?
Yeah, we saw it. We talked about it. I know we did the trailer review when that dropped.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and Maddie watched it. So what'd you think, man? Talk to me about it.
I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, it was a great movie, right?
It's a cute little movie.
It's very wholesome.
Yeah. It's obviously, there's the level of ridiculousness smeared on top because it's a movie, right? And you need to sell those things, or a movie based on those type of things, especially a comedy, right? There has to be those kind of ridiculous moments.
Can you really call this thing a comedy at the end of the day, though? There's comedy elements, but is it a comedy?
It's kind of had an action vibe to it. They had some chase downs that were like phenomenal. Jeremy Renner was straight out of The Bourne.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like it's really just a drama with comedy elements, man. If you look the way like it was directed and shot. And
So, like I said, me and Adrian, I sat down. I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. I mean, you know, we were bored, and I think it was after the podcast. I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. So we watched it. And I'm like, I like this movie more than I dislike it. Like, that was my first thing that entered my head. And then kind of that second part kind of just tailed off. I'm like, I really enjoyed this fucking movie.
Well, because it comes off at this kind of sweet, innocent, like, yeah, one and done, never touch it again, $5 Walmart bin type of movie.
Absolutely.
Right? Because, like, these guys are playing a game of tag. But then when everything kind of comes full circle, and after the wedding, and after you realize what the fuck is going on, it's really beautiful.
Absolutely.
It's just five guys, which I've had right before the podcast, by the way.
I know. I'm fucking.
It's these five guys just trying to stay in touch as life inevitably separates all of them.
Yeah,
and that's fucking brutal, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, and just like I don't want to give spoilers to it, but there's the circumstances that leads to this being kind of the most important year of it all, right? And there was a moment when, like, at the hospital and stuff like that, where he's like, I don't. This might be my last year. Like, I wanted to do this one last time because I don't know if I'm gonna be here, and that was like really upsetting and sad. And kind of his friend giving himself up in that moment was such a beautiful thing. And the next thing you know, they're running around and they're like, amendment, girls are allowed too. And then the wives are getting involved.
Yeah,
and
it's
just
great, man.
She's like, you're gonna fucking regret this, and it's just mass chaos. And it's a beautiful movie. And I love how it was actually kind of based on a true story. They had the clips of the real group,
the pictures at the end,
of them chasing each other around dressed up as old ladies. There's a priest involved in all that, and he's still fucking around with his group of friends. I thought it was kind of awesome. I really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, it's not going to be like an Oscar movie. I think
it was a very good underdog movie.
Yeah,
because I feel like we saw this trailer and we're like, huh, yeah, okay, maybe when it comes out.
Yeah, and
then you watch it and you're like, damn, why we should have watched this in theaters.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great little experience, and I think it's a great story because you and your friends maybe come from the same place doesn't mean you're all going to end up in the same spot.
It's a story we can all relate to.
Absolutely, and they did a great job with it, and I think it's something they should be proud of.
Absolutely, man. Good kind of underdog in that scene, but yeah. Brutal fucking shit.
Yep.
In that film.
All right, moving on to a little bit of bad news. So arguably,
good news.
Well, good news for Will Smith
for his career.
Yeah. Arguably, the best part of the Suicide Squad movies was Will Smith's portrayal of Deadshot. Right? I think that's fair. I guess because James Gunn is involved, and I guess Will has beef with James Gunn and some of the accusations that was lobbed against him. Will Smith decided to opt out of the new Suicide Squad movie. Yeah.
DC's feeling the burn, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know if they're going to recast him or they're going to kill him off or what. But like I said, I think arguably that was probably one of the better parts of the movie was his betrayal. So I think it's interesting moving forward. I mean, we all know that DC is just getting fucking drop kicked every fucking second when it comes to the cinematic universe. And I kind of feel bad for them at this point because
the Shawshank Redemption didn't win. I can't remember which award it was, but the Suicide Squad movie did.
What?
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that. But it was something that
the Shawshank Redemption didn't win the awards, any real awards, because it came out the same year Forrest Gump did.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah, and Suicide Squad won. I think we're on the same thing here. I just can't put a fucking finger on it. Here's my thing. And
is it adapted screenplay?
What?
The award?
No, I don't think it's adapted screenplay.
Wow.
It's something bigger, much bigger. But James Gunn, like him or not, he's a pretty solid writer. And, Marvel gave him up. DC hopped on the opportunity. I get it. It's business. It's cutthroat at the end of the day. And I understand and respect Will Smith's choice. But what is Suicide Squad hanging on to now besides a better writer? Because your cast wasn't all that likable. I'd say now next up is Margot Robbie, but here's the issue with the whole Harley Joker thing. It's really so played out at this point and so braided. And so I feel like Harley Quinn, and I hate to say it because I love the character and I love, the whole Batman villains gallery and all that stuff, but I feel like Harley Quinn has now become synonymous with like white trash.
There's some truth to that.
And that's unfortunate. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is unfortunate. And I feel like after that movie came out, it really kind of pushed that towards the forefront.
Is that the accent?
No, not the accent.
You don't think it's the accent?
I think it's all these kind of like trailer park trash girls and, your typical like those people you knew in high school where you're like, I'm staying far the fuck away from you. I'm going to need like 6 shots of penicillin if I come within like contact with you, right?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of like those girls and that kind of mindsets are the ones going out in like Harley Quinn pajamas, and I don't know, dude. I think they're like epitomizing this kind of abusive relationship, and
there's some truth to that.
Next time you go to the mall, man, keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah.
You'll see it, and you won't unsee it. Because somebody pointed this out to me, and I fucking hate them.
Oh, speaking of pointing something out that you can't see, so I saw a meme today on Facebook where it's the bass player from Green Day, and they put him side by side with Vladimir Putin, and they look exactly the same. Now I can't unsee it. Can you see it? Can you picture it in your head? Because if you can't, I got a side-by-side picture, and it will totally fucking ruin it for you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I get your point.
Putin's punk double life.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I think it is interesting. And I don't know, man. Like, I do agree with you to a point. Margot did a decent job with the whole Harley Quinn thing.
She did a great job.
Yeah. But
who name me some of the other actors that's not Will Smith or Margot Robbie?
Jay Hernandez, he played Diablo, but that's because
he's dead, right?
Yeah, Diablo died.
And aside from him, I think everybody else is pretty much fucking forgettable.
Yeah, I can't even think.
Because the Australian guy, Boomerang?
Jai Courtney, is that his name?
Whatever.
Yeah.
But his character, I can't even remember the character's name at the moment.
Captain Boomerang, yeah.
Captain Boomerang. Well, because they're getting Black Manta in Suicide Squad now, right?
I think so, yeah.
How much are you gonna do with a man in a fucking aquarium helmet?
I mean, you could do something.
You could definitely do something.
But I think they're more focused on the Birds of Prey, which I guess is kind of a side gig because Margot Robbie's in it. I know they cast what's her name, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as somebody. I don't remember who. But I know they got that kind of working. They started to do like the test shots for that.
Yeah, man, we will see. So now, like, what's the continuity? Is Jared Leto still going to be Suicide Squad Joker, and we're going to have River Phoenix as, or Joaquin Phoenix, I'm sorry.
River Phoenix.
Whoops.
he's dead as fuck, bro.
Yeah. Is that Freudian slip? And we're going to have, Joaquin Phoenix as every other Joker, or, like, what's going on?
I don't know.
DC's kind of slipping, man. There's, like, very little consistency.
It's a mess.
And, with a big name like Will Smith that probably drew a lot of these people to the initial screen showing Gone, how are you going to attract them now?
I think that's definitely fair. And on top of the whole, like I said, we don't have a Deadshot. We don't have a Batman. Affleck dropped out. Like, what do we do?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Unless they get, like, all these like up and coming actors. They're going to be the next big thing.
It's almost like a power vacuum for these roles now, because it's like you take all the spots, you take it away too fast, and next thing you know, it's like, who's gonna fill the role and what are we gonna do? You know what I mean?
All right, so hang on, let's take this down a little rabbit hole real quick. How many movies do you think is the right amount for a particular actor in a certain, let's just say, superhero role?
It depends on the role and depends on the actor, man. Honest to God.
Because Affleck's had what, 3 now? 3? The first Batman v Supes, right?
Batman v Supes, Justice League, and
Suicide Squad.
Oh, and a little bit of Wonder Woman too, but not a lot.
So 2.5, let's say.
Yeah, let's do that.
2.5.
Yeah.
And he's a very, what'd you say, forgettable Batman?
Middle of the road.
Middle of the road Batman.
Decent Batman. But that's because the only reason why he's in the middle of the road is because we've had a ton of bad Batmans. We've had George Clooney. We had Val Kilmer. I think Michael Keaton's a bad Batman. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. And obviously Adam West Batman, which is iconic, but not that's particularly accurate to the role, right? But
did I send you that article where Adam West would take what's his name, Burt Reynolds, to like these crazy ass orgies?
Yeah. But
we need that Batman on screen.
Yeah, but so I don't know, man. Like, you know, like I said, he's kind of middle of the road
by default, though.
Yeah, by default, not necessarily because he was great. I mean, Christian Bale's number 1. And then it gets really murky.
3 seems to be a very good number for the main series because three main Captain Americas. You get 1, 2 Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier was 2.
Winter Soldier and then Civil War, right? Because that's
a
Cap movie.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man has 3.
Can we talk about that? I really don't like that. I know I understand why it's a Cap or why it was important to kind of label it that, but it wasn't really necessarily just a Cap.
Civil War, aside from having that iconic fight scene, it was really the downfall of us all. That's one. And yeah, man, it was totally botched. And you know me, I like my Marvel comics, and they ruined that. They ruined Ultron, and I feel like that led to my hopping off the choo-choo train. But yeah, I mean, all right, let's change lanes here, right? Batman, The Dark Knight, 3 movies.
Yeah. Fantastic.
3 movies, and there was no tie-in to anything else. Those standalone.
Would you have been interested to see more of Christian Bale Bat, or you think that was the perfect place to end?
I wouldn't say it was a perfect place to end. I'd say it was a good place to end. He had his up, he had his peak, he had his downfall, and his return. And we got all those things in the span of 6-7 hours, right?
Yeah.
And it was a solid place to leave off. I feel like any more, and either Nolan or Bale would have overstayed their welcome in the franchise. And I love both. And I think it works very well together. Like it's a very well balanced PBJ sandwich, but a little bit of A or a little bit of B, you know, it could have thrown it out of proportion.
I think that's definitely fair. That's definitely a fair assessment.
Because, all right, even if you toss them in for like one cameo, it's like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. But then where's the line? Where do you draw the line? Because if you do 1, well, why not do 2, right?
It's definitely pie in the sky, though. I mean, we'll never have an answer. But it's definitely an interesting talking point. Because I don't know. Like when...
Because humans are naturally... They are appealed by things that come in 3s. Because the triangle is the most stable shape, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of like psychological... It is, I promise you. But, you know, trilogy. How much better does that sound than a saga or an anthology? Trilogy. You know, just think about it. Just think about the diction of that word and the way it comes off and the connotation.
Why do you think The Godfather isn't called a trilogy? It's called a saga.
Because nobody wants to talk about number 3.
That's a good point.
You remember that one? I don't.
I mean, it's all right. It's not nearly as good as the other 2. Not even
Undercooked.
Close. Yeah, it's not even close. But
Undercooked.
It's not horrible.
It was like, you know what it was, man? It was like the first 2 movies are like going. Have you ever been to like an expensive steakhouse?
Yes.
It's like that. And going to something like that for your first time. And then when your dad grills up steak at home, you're like, wow, this is horseshit. When it should have been the other way around. You should have had the mediocre steak first. Like my parents always did their steaks well done. And I just thought that's the way steak was. And then my sister married her husband, and this dude's like a wizard on the grill. It's insane. And he does the best medium fucking rare steaks. They're so perfect. And I was like, wow. Steak is titties. This shit is so good.
Oh.
It doesn't have to be like a rubber.
quick interjection. My mom is like, I don't know what it is, but whenever Gabe says titties, it makes me really uncomfortable. So sorry, Mom. But yeah, sorry.
Is your mom over right now?
Huh?
Is she over?
No, she's not over. No. She's just when she listens to the show.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. I think there's something to be said about that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think.
So hang on. Let's backtrack a bit because I feel like we're last about. So how many movies would you? I'd say 3 is a pretty solid number. 3 main ones. Because Cap's been in probably like 7 or 8 at this point, right?
Yeah, if you include all the Avengers and shit like that. I think it's the difference is that I feel like when it comes to the DC formula,
They don't have a grand scheme. They don't.
There's that, and there's like, well, we're gonna toss him in because we need Batman, as opposed to like maybe RDJ, like he's gone for a little bit, so we can miss him. Like he's not in every single iteration. Yeah. Like he wasn't in Ant-Man or Ant-Man and the Wasp and stuff like that. You know what I mean? He did when he doesn't need to be there, he's not. But we did see some bats in Wonder Woman and stuff like that. Like it's just constant. Like he was in Suicide Squad for a little bit. Like did he really? I mean, I get it for the Harley Quinn storyline. He does need to be there, but does he have to physically be there? Can it be more like in mentioning and passing? Like especially since it was so minuscule and little, anyways, as far as his like.
Yeah, what would you bill him for that anyway?
Yeah, I don't know. Like the participation factor was so minuscule.
Have you seen Deadpool 2 yet?
I have not.
All right, then we'll talk about that story a different time.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I feel you, and it's a very interesting topic to kind of discuss. Maybe we'll do a deep dive another time.
Yeah.
Because we got some other topics and news to cover. But yeah, I think that was an interesting little rant.
Yeah.
Rabbit hole.
All right, let's move along. So, Lil Dicky.
No, great.
Your favorite rapper.
Not mine.
My favorite rapper.
Really?
One of mine. I love that. I love this guy.
Maybe early Lil Dicky, he's become everything he's sworn to defeat.
Like what? How?
He's so... Have you heard the song he did with Chris Brown?
I have.
It is cringe.
It's funny, though.
The max level.
It's funny, though.
It's such a cheap shot. It's like no creativeness.
It's
Are you
funny.
kidding me?
It's funny.
Whatever, man.
All right, so he's getting his own TV show. I guess comedy. I think it's on FX. They're saying he's gonna get like. I imagine the way I imagine it is it's ridiculousness with Lil Dicky. It's like in my head. I don't know why I picture it like that, but I'd imagine we're not very far off with that. What do you think?
I don't really care for it. I'd imagine to be in that kind of style.
This funny clip.
Those shows really started to popularize with like Tosh.0. I feel like that was or like Ray William Johnson. You remember that guy on YouTube?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I feel like that was the boom that started it all.
Yeah, I forgot.
And he fell off.
And there was
face of the fucking earth.
I remember they had a Ray William Johnson Ray William Johnson channel without Ray William Johnson.
Yeah, because that's when he left to do law.
Yeah, and who else? Who else was known for that?
You ever driving on the highway? I believe it's on 94 or 55, and they got the signs. There's like basement leaking, got you freaking. You ever seen those?
No.
It looks like Ray William Johnson on there. I'll take a picture next time I see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Fuck, where were we? Lil Dicky TV show.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Once you start to binge the Eric Andre show, your taste of comedy gets real fucking warped. Have you ever seen clips or episodes?
I've seen some of the memes that come out from it.
Dude, you need to watch clips because then you're going to be like these foo-foo ass safe comedy shows aren't going to cut it anymore, man.
I got you.
You're going to be chasing that dragon. So Eric Andre, he does these interviews and have like celebrities on there, right? But the interviews will start off normally, and he does them for like an hour, but it's condensed down to like 2 or 3 minutes, right? And so it'll start off real normal and it'll like devolve into madness. Like they'll crank up the heat to like 100 degrees so they're like glistening. And like there's all these stupid ass wild fucking gags going on. We're gonna pull up some clips after the show, man, because you're gonna like lose your shit at this.
Noted.
But once you start doing that, man, these kind of safe like, oh, let's play a YouTube clip.
Let's play a clip, yeah.
It's like I could literally go to YouTube. I don't got to sit down and block off half an hour of my day on FX to do this.
Now, don't get me wrong. I like Rob Deerdreck. I don't even know how to say his fucking...
Deerdeck?
Yeah, Deerdeck. But he made the clips less funny to me. Like, I would watch
something... Deerdeck was weird, man.
I would watch the clip, and I'm like, yeah, that was funny. That he would make, like, a joke. They're like... And you have Chanel West Coast going, yeah, or whatever the fuck, her laughing in the background. God. You're just like, oh, you ruined it.
Yeah, he's telling a joke he didn't write.
Yeah, that's true, too,
man, should have left it at Robin Big, but oh well.
Show. Robin Big was a good show.
Oh, well. Can we get Bam Margera to host one of those shows? but like we just let him drink.
Oh no! I was thinking. I saw a clip on fucking YouTube the other day where Bam sticks his head out the door. He's like, "You want the soup of the day or the soup of the jour?" And fucking Dino's wrapped up in a fucking chair. He's like, "It's the same fucking thing." Hey, Vito, you want the soup of the day or the soup of the jour? Same fucking thing.
Oh man, those early Viva La Bam days were fucking great.
They were fantastic.
I gotta get me that collection on DVD, man. I'm gonna get a HD remaster.
Man.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? I'd hop on that in a heartbeat.
I would totally buy that.
I would totally spend like $60 on that.
I would if you tag on Bam's Unholy Union. I'm totally in.
Yeah, man. It was part of our childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some good shit.
Good
But yeah,
shit.
moving along. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
What's up next?
Well, we're down to gaming. All right.
Okay, I think we covered this topic a while back. Modern Warfare 2 Remastered.
I guess it's a thing. It's a real thing now.
Yeah. I believe last time we talked about it, the idea was that it's going to be story mode only, right, or the campaign only.
Something like that. Yeah.
Do we know if this still holds water?
No, I haven't heard anything about that aspect of it anymore. I think that kind of fell really quickly at the wayside. I think it'd be ridiculous. I mean, I know, with the Infinity War thing and bundled along with the first Modern Warfare, it did pretty well. I know a lot of people were playing it, at least initially, and then it kind of went away.
Yeah, and then you realize that everything that made the first Call of Duty great was superseded by the following ones that are done better on top of it.
Yeah.
It was the first time everything came together well in the first Modern Warfare, and that's why it was great at the time.
Yeah.
It aged fine. It didn't age beautifully or well, or nor poorly. It was just right there in the middle. And it was fun for, the 2 months? Maybe a little less?
Yeah, definitely.
The 6 weeks we put into it?
Now, I will say the best thing about that whole thing was the sound. The sound design was such a...
Yeah, the sound design was great, but we still had the old school annoyances like the M16.
Yeah.
The noob tubes were, even though supposedly they were cut a bit, they were still powered, man. The time when you would fucking spawn in on Bog and you'd get sniped like that by some asshole with the beret.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's interesting, but also because kind of in the same vein. I mean, I know we have limited opinions on the whole Call of Duty boat at this point.
Both just worn out at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. But from what I understand, because Capcom, the guys behind RE2, and
I'm familiar with Capcom.
They're saying
this little indie studio you might be familiar.
Oh
with.
yeah, and another little thing. We're shouting out the little guys today. Apparently,
about shouting out the little guys.
They have stated that basically the future of Capcom is the past. So basically, they're going to take all their older properties and give us some love. Now, I know mixed feelings about the whole remaster thing, but if everything is done with the same amount of attention as RE2,
4 years of development, though, they're not going to be cranking them out.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
It's different. That's completely different. If they're going to try and do it on like a biannual schedule, so new main release and then remaster the following year, it's going to be rough.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, like I said, I don't know what new properties they're coming out with. They've been very quiet. I think with the whole Marvel vs. Capcom thing really tanking, like it did not do well.
Well, they got Devil May Cry coming out.
They do. But
I'm sure they got some stuff that we're totally like that's going right over our heads.
Yeah, I know, but I think that, like I said, I do think it's interesting that the company directive is the future is the past.
Welcome to 2019, where everything is the way it was 20 years ago in HD.
Isn't that scary, though?
Yeah, it's very scary. It's terrifying. Because, man, I've said this probably more times than I can count. We're at a point where, and Capcom and all these big money-hungry companies have realized this. Their audience now is the same as it was 20 years ago, except now we have the cash to front it instead of our parents. Because back then, it was, Mom, I want a game. Nope, not this week. Need food. Or whatever the fuck it was, right? No. Now it's like, well, maybe I could not go out for lunch once or twice a week and I'd be good for this game.
Do you think, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say because I feel like the generation that you and I grew up in was like the perfect place to start new IPs because the way video games changed, the older crowd fell off of it. But when it evolved, when we were coming up, it bred more lifers as far as like the gaming front. Like us as the consumer, we became the lifers.
We're gamers for life.
Yeah,
as opposed to gamers for their 20s.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't know, because maybe the jump in complexity from the Atari 2600 to maybe the N64, not the N64, but the Super Nintendo was greater than maybe the jump from the N64 to what we got now. I don't know what's exactly what happened. But I feel like maybe
man.
not to say that there's not those guys who are lifetime fans of gaming, but I feel like the number is a lot smaller coming from that era than there is in the era.
I think there's some significance to your statement. I also think, kind of looking back at kind of the era of us growing up, I think that our generation was kind of the one where everything prior to us, I feel like it was mostly like free play time, which is like unsupervised, you and your friends, no parents around type of shit. And I feel like it was mostly that as opposed to video games. But then when we got to like our generation, like the millennials, it was 50-50. Because a lot of the times, we'd be out and about with friends and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then you'd go home and you'd dump hours into a game. Because I didn't have a brother or sister my age growing up,
Yeah.
So a lot of my alone time, it's like reading or video games or TV or a combination of the three. And I feel like that was a very nice split. And going forward, that split even furthers towards the video game or electronic side. But I feel like us, we were like right there. We were the first generation where it was like, I truly do feel like we spent an equal amount of time with our friends out there doing hooligan shit, as we all do. But then also either with or without your friends at home playing video games.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair.
And they hold almost greater significance because we came in a time where video games were not coming out as a children's thing. They were coming out as art. And it showed that a video game can have a fucking great story. You remember Gun? You remember that story? That was a fucking good story. And it was kind of more, it was greater than the sum of its parts.
Mm-hmm.
You remember a lot of those early games, man?
I was thinking more like
GTA, like San Andreas?
Thinking that. I was thinking like Final Fantasy X.
There you go.
Stuff like that. Yeah, I think
that was like our time, man.
Yeah.
Like even like the OG Resident Evil 2. It's a work of art. It it aged poorly.
Yeah.
But it is a work of art for when it cranked out. It was a interactive horror experience.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't want to say it was the first one of its kind because I'm sure that shit's been around for a while, but it was the first one you could bring home with you.
Yeah.
And that didn't have to necessarily be a movie.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting statement. I'm not, like I said, I don't have any facts or numbers equating old school 80s gamers to today and how they stayed the test of time. I don't have numbers obviously in front of me, but I think it's definitely something that can be evaluated moving forward, maybe coming from us or somebody with much more power. But yeah, I don't know, because I feel like today's generation of gamer, the gamer that comes out today,
like the 16-year-olds now, right?
I'm thinking even younger.
Like
I'm talking
14-year-olds now?
13, 14. It's so wrapped up in like, I don't even know.
Microtransaction era.
That and like just the kind of the devil's advocate of like
culture.
Like the Fortnite of it all. Like, oh, I like it because you don't. As like us, from our perspective, from our age, I feel like obviously they enjoyed the game, but they like it mainly because we don't, and we stay away from it.
I think because it's free.
Well, I think it's a big part of it. I mean, because we didn't really have that. We never had free.
Yeah.
Games weren't free for us. I mean,
unless you went to fucking Pizza Hut.
Yeah, and then you got
demo discs.
Absolutely, but that you had to leave the house. You know what I mean, to get that. Or my dad,
different, man.
Like my dad, he worked at Sam's, and he would bring home the little demo discs that they would have in the
magazines.
No, like in the consoles.
Huh? At the
store.
Damn, that's fucking titties.
Yeah. See, sorry, Mom. But I think it's just an interesting state as far as us, because those games, I feel like the games that we came up with, sure, they had like the more mature themes, but they were targeted towards kids. They wanted kids to play these stories.
They were, I don't want to say easily accessible, but the themes.
Yeah.
And maybe sort of the surface level point of what the game was trying to get across was tangible.
Yeah.
As opposed to something Fortnite or Apex or Rainbow Six Siege where there is no surface level meaning. Yeah. Where it's you go in, you fuck people up, you get out.
Yeah. And it's funny because all those games that are like the like pinnacle of single player experiences all came from an era of where we were the ones that were behind it. So for instance, like the God of War was around when we were kids. Red Dead Redemption, that game was around when we were kids. Now, like as far as like new IPs, we don't really get those. The last like real, I mean, obviously outside of the Dark Souls and stuff like that, but the last real IP that
Last of Us,
that where it was like it was a new thing, and we're gonna emphasize story, and you're gonna love it because that's the story
and
that
we're
was
trying to tell. 6 years ago.
Longer.
What was it? 2010?
Yeah, I think give or take
9 years. That game's almost a decade old.
Yeah, don't make me cry. I will. But
That's interesting, man.
because
It's a shift in priorities that's happened.
yeah,
It's a shift in delivery, monetization, and priorities, man. The gaming space isn't the same as it was when we were growing up. It's not even the same it was 10 years ago.
it's scary.
I would even argue to say it's not even the same it was 5 years ago. Remember the first DLC you bought?
The very first one.
Yeah, I remember my first one.
Very first DLC I bought.
I remember my first one.
What is it?
So there was a point in time where my dad got laid off and we were struggling financially, right? And so what I would do is I would just kind of give them whatever it was, my birthday money or whatever the fuck it was, right? And then the first year after that, where they were like, we'll be okay. You can keep the money for yourself. I put that shit away. And I think I waited till Christmas and then a couple months after that. And I was like, I'm going to get myself an Xbox 360. And so I didn't even buy a new one. I didn't even go to the store. My buddy's cousin was selling his with like, Sharpie on it and all this stuff, right? It was like beaten.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I want $100 for it. You get 2 controllers and 2 games. I was like, all right, fuck it. Here you go. $100, right? Assassin's Creed 2. Played through that shit. Great game. And then I saw, after I finished the game and everything in it, right? I was like, oh, fuck, I could get more. And I got the 2 DLCs for it for like, I don't know, 10, 12 bucks, something like that.
I'm thinking...
And that was my first DLC.
I'm thinking it had something to do with Vegas 2. Maybe a map. I'm thinking. Because I'm trying to remember if that MLG map was with the game, if it got packaged with the game. Because they had like a Las Vegas Convention Center map in Vegas 2.
Sounds edgy.
Well, no, because there was literally like an MLG map, like an MLG like
That's interesting.
like showcase, but it was it was like the most meta thing in the world because it was a game that people were playing on the MLG level, playing on a map that was an MLG level. Like it was the weirdest thing. I don't remember if that came with the game though. I don't remember.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I
That's
couldn't tell you. Maybe I don't know. So maybe something to do with Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 1 maybe too because they had those.
They had the Chinatown map.
The Chinatown map.
And there's the other one too.
But I don't remember which one came first. No, I can't. It's slipped in my mind.
Copy that.
Yeah, but
those are both on, what is that, 6th gen?
Yeah.
360, PS3?
Mm-hmm.
6th gen.
Well, they were...
Because before that, what'd you really have?
No.
Not much. Well, I'm sure there are a handful of games. Like I know Knights of the Old Republic 1 had DLC, but it was free. All you had to do is figure out a way how to
get it.
Yeah, how to get your Xbox and your router connected. And back then it was like gypsy magic.
It was.
I
remember like, oh man, I was just remembering thinking back. I'm like, man, that was such a foreign concept to us back in the day.
I remember the very first time I set up a Wi-Fi connection in my household. And I read like books on it. I read all these pamphlets. I watched YouTube videos. And I was like ready to go in on this bitch. But now it's like, what are you fucking stupid? Just plug the 1 and 2 in and call it a day.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, man. I remember that. I think I was like 13 years old because I had just bought a Nintendo DS, and I had Pokemon on it, and it was the first time you could trade Pokemon over the World Wide Web. And I was like, I need this shit.
He's
just like crack.
This man just dropped the World Wide Web.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I was thinking about it too because I'm like, man, because I remember I was playing Vegas 1 when I hooked up the Wi-Fi, and I was just playing Terrorist Hunt back then because it was like the funnest thing in the world, playing Terrorist Hunt like by myself or with my cousin or whoever, and we just played for hours, just T-Hunt. And then the Wi-Fi thing became a thing. It was like started to come to residential homes, and we started to do it. And I'm like, well, I think I read in my manual that the PlayStation 3
has Wi-Fi.
I'm like, so if I could figure this out, that means I could finally play games on the internet like I always wanted. Because I remember I'm like, man, I would love to do that in Battlefront 2, like those days, right? But I'm like, let me see if I can figure this out. And I figured it out, and I do remember this. I was sitting at the basement of my house, my mom's house, on 68th. And I was sitting in the basement, and I'm like, okay, let's see if it works. I click. It was the Las Vegas University map. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, well, I hope it works. And I see people join. Then I'm like, it fucking worked. It was like amazing. It was amazing.
A whole nother world.
It was an amazing experience. And I remember because I'm like, oh man, I'm excited to play. And I got fucking waxed because I didn't know what I did. I realized at that moment that I was not actually good at the game. And that these people were really good at the game. And I'm like, man, I got to get better. And that's where the whole fascination in Vegas 1 took over my life at that point.
Very cool. Now thinking about now we live in a day and age where you have a young family member come over and they won't say hi, but they'll ask for the Wi-Fi password.
Ugh. Not even on top of that. Not even that, but like back when the multiplayer aspect of it all was like an optional experience, but now it's like the experience.
Here's this great game. By the way, you could play this with your friends online. But now it's like, here's this game you could play with your friends.
Here's the game,
and maybe story.
There's this game that you have to play with your friends, otherwise it's not an enjoyable experience.
Priorities have shifted. Gaming space has changed.
You know who else got their ass kicked this week?
Who?
BioWare. Because Anthem flopped like fucking LeBron James in the fucking playoffs. It's bad.
Yeah, but LeBron has some sort of redeeming qualities, whether you like him or not.
Yeah.
I can't say the same for... Well, I'm not going to talk down on it. I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'd find something. But
Visuals, probably.
Visuals, movement.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man. There's stuff to be said.
And but BioWare is this is the guys who made Mass Effect.
These are the guys that made the first KOTOR. I held these guys in very high regard.
Oh no!
And now,
man, it's just like it's almost as if anything that EA slaps their name on just
they cannibalize their fucking subsidiaries, man.
Just fucking dies, unless it's a FIFA game. Dies. Even Madden took it in the knees this year.
Even Madden took a knee.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny, man. Yeah, I don't know who buys FIFA games yearly. Why?
I don't know. I bought one time because I wanted to make my own player and play, but that was like it. I never bought one. I never felt the need to buy another one.
I've never bought one. I've been gifted maybe one or two before. That's it. I'm not gonna go out of my way to buy a sports game.
The best FIFA was FIFA 97, and I remember because I had it on my laptop at school.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh man, what's the next topic? We've been hunting these rabbit holes, huh?
Oh,
Fortnite.
My God.
Fortnite. So
yeah,
a buddy actually told me this the other night while we were playing Apex.
Okay, go ahead.
They are copying some aspects of the Apex system, right?
Yeah, you're going to be able to revive your friend now. You'll be able to bring your friend back to life in kind of a banner system, which I think, coming from Fortnite, is hysterical because they're the ones that are saying, oh, we did this first. We did that first. How dare you? The dance, we made this dance famous. But yet, here they are, blatantly, clear as day, ripping off a very central mechanic
of Apex. Arguably one of the things that made Apex stand out.
Is that making it? Is
you're not out till everyone's out?
Is that admitting defeat?
What?
To take this system and use it as your own?
I think it's going to be interesting. I think the true factor is going to be how the execution is. Because I mentioned it over the mic that, yeah, man, some people set trends, others follow them, right?
Yeah.
And that's true to an extent. And then my buddy countered with, yeah, but some people innovate and change, and some people implement those things differently, and it works better for different IPs. So I think it depends a lot on that. Because you and I may see it as, yeah, they're kind of ripping what Apex had going for it. And, you know, it is at the end of the day, right? Because Apex was the first to implement. But if Fortnite does it well, I don't think they'll do it better. I think there's room enough to do it well.
Well, I think the problem I'm having with it is I don't think Fortnite, by its nature, is necessarily a team game. Like, it's not built to have multiple.
It's singles or doubles, right?
Well, they have like quads and stuff like that. But I'm saying, as far as when the game was built and how the infrastructure was laid out, I don't believe they had team-based thing. It was solos. You only had solos. And that's all that really mattered. And granted, you know, these things, they have, 50 versus 50. That's cool and all. But it wasn't built on that. It was built on a solo experience and you playing by yourself originally. So it's important for Apex to have that system because it's integrated into the very mechanics of the game. But something like this is just tacked on. It's just not going to feel the same. And it's definitely not going to work as well, I don't feel. So, and I mean, y'all don't know how much you've been playing much of Fortnite. I play a little bit of it. The moment you died, or the moment you went down, your teammates just walk right past you. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. I can't even tell you how many times I got dropped with a teammate close and they just walked on by. So, I don't think it's built for the system.
I think they're just in damage control mode, man, because a lot of their fan base has shifted.
It's leaking. The bolt is leaking for them.
The boat is taking on water at a critical rate is what's happening right now. Apex came in and it fucked up the Battle Royale genre in all the best ways possible.
Yeah.
And even though it's quote-unquote an EA property at the end of the day, there's no game-breaking thing you could buy right now. There's no pay-to-win mechanic. It's mostly cosmetic, and you get the 2 legends you could buy. But, if you play the game enough, you could buy them with in-game that you earn.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you get in Fortnite? Why would you play Fortnite anymore is the question. When the team composition matters more. When if you have 2 other buddies, you could have a better time.
I think the only thing that will keep people playing Fortnite is the building mechanic.
I never liked it, man.
Me either. I never liked it.
Never enjoyed it.
Because it's like, what's the point of having a map if you could just kind of flip-flop it on its head anytime you want? Because you could destroy homes and buildings and shit. Matter of fact, there was challenges with that where people would drop in an area and like, let's just fucking knock down tilted towers. You know what I mean?
Whatever, man.
But yeah, it's just another resource to manage, but we're not going to get to that. All right. Moving along. That took way longer than I wanted.
All right, so we got some MK stuff. We got that Johnny Cage reveal this week. He looks good.
Yeah.
There's a little something about his skin that's just a tad off to me. Not in a bad way. It's just something that's like, you look at something and you're like, I think it might be his texture that's throwing me off.
Maybe.
Skin looks very porous.
He's not the biggest problem I have. I think Sony is the biggest problem I have so far. Is finally kind of like
Sony and Cassie.
No, Sonya's face is just off to me.
Yeah, you think it's kind of weird?
Maybe it's Rhonda's voice and her vocal delivery when it comes to some of her lines. It just doesn't seem natural to me.
It's a little more
robotic.
Yeah,
a little robotic. Maybe they'll fix that up. I don't know. Obviously, Rhonda delivered the lines, and I don't manage her getting back into the studio to fix them. But maybe something with the facial delivery they could fix it. But so yeah, let's talk about Johnny real quick. First off, possibly the greatest fatality of all time.
Very good. Yeah. Solid fatality.
Because obviously my favorite of all time is the selfie. It's going to be very hard to beat that. This one gets pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a homage to the original glitch where you would be able to uppercut somebody's head off 3 times in 2. I think it was 2. You were able to do that. Maybe 1. I don't remember. But it's a play on that. So it's like, well, now that makes sense because it was a take, right? And he's like, where do you hide this guy? What the fuck? And that whole thing. It was fucking awesome. Number 1. Number 2. Skin, I'm not sold on. It doesn't.
I like it.
I don't really like the whole militarized look of Johnny, though.
You can't be wearing those wrestling spandex shorts forever, especially when you're a 60-year-old man.
But yeah, I guess you're right about that. But my thing about Johnny is that my Johnny Cage has
the delinquent Johnny Cage tattoo across his chest.
Exactly.
He has the hand wraps and those blue and black spandex shorts. Yes, we know.
Yeah. So,
and don't get me wrong, I love that. It's iconic.
Yeah.
But you gotta let the character grow up, even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah.
I like the costume. But, I'm sure you'll get your blue shorts back with the new customization system.
This is true. But yeah, so let's talk about the fact that his sunglasses are a projectile.
That's interesting.
That's fucking awesome.
I'm surprised it took this long to implement that.
Well, I think it's kind of hard. You have to imagine it's kind of hard.
Yeah, but it's just been such a quality staple of his outfit since his debut.
Yeah.
Really?
Since the beginning of time. Yeah. So there's that. He has a cross-the-screen projectile as opposed to an arching one now, which I guess is a variation.
It's going to work out better for him.
Yeah.
Those fucking arching ones are a bitch to aim and stuff.
I mean, he still has them as anti-airs, so that's good. What else? Let's talk about the stunt double thing, which is fucking hysterical. He calls in a stunt double, and the guy's hair is just a little off color, so you can notice that he's a stunt double. Also, the Johnny across his chest is fucking Sharpie. It's in marker, and you can totally tell. I'm really excited. I think as far as like characters they're bringing back, I think this is the one I'm most excited about now. Because it's funny, because I think before we talked about it, and he was kind of like, we had enough.
Well, here's my thing. He looks like he's a lot heavier now. Like he's a little bit more grounded in his play style. So I feel like MKX Johnny was, I don't want to say he was like super light and flimsy, like, I don't know, somebody like Kung Jin or whatever. But he was kind of in that middle ground. But looking at the way he plays, he looks very stable, if that makes sense. He looks like he plays, I don't want to say plays like Jax, but he looks like he feels almost like Jax. Where, he's got some bulk to him and you got to move it.
Yeah. So it's definitely interesting. I just love a lot of their design choices as far as like the gameplay.
It's phenomenal.
He looks like he plays like the kind of that middle ground role. When he gets in, but when he hops out, he needs to hop out. So I think it's going to be interesting moving forward.
It's going to be fun. In addition to that, we got the whole you predicted it and I had beef with it. To EX a move, you no longer need to have the additional input. It's just the RT.
Yeah.
It's just the one. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ed Boon.
Yeah. So basically, that was like the biggest news coming from me when I saw the combat cast.
It was so unnecessary.
Yeah. He's like, okay. He's like, we listen to feedback, which is true. They do. And it's like, we decided that, we tested it and see if it fit into the system the game that we built, and it does. So we were able to implement that, which I'm like, sick. I fucking love it. So
taking the needless complication out of the game.
Yeah,
Really.
absolutely. And
it was a great system.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to get rid of it, especially since it was only introduced one game ago.
Yeah. Don't need to innovate that quickly. Now, we talked about all the stuff that they're changing, which is good. I mean, I think every game needs to have its own identity, and I think this one's going there. But think the things that are built in place that are really well done should probably stick around.
The EX maneuver is probably one of the best things that studios cranked out in regards to the fighting space genre.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty confident in that statement.
Yeah.
Because for a resource management, for only one additional extra input, you get a whole lot more bang for your buck. Especially with your characters, especially with your combos, your juggles, you name it, you got it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I'm glad that they kept it, and I'm excited. The more this game looks around, while I'm looking around it, I like it. Now, there was a leak roster. This particular leak seems to be coming from within, and I think kind of the general perception of it is that it's kind of coming with a disgruntled employee with malice. So,
I think there's always these internal links, like really close to when the game drops.
Well, I feel like the difference is like it's not like GameSpot accidentally leaking something or Amazon UK accidentally. This was somebody from the inside intentionally trying to sour the experience, because there are people who work on the trailers for the game. Now, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the league rosters, but like I said, this seems to come from within, and it seems to be done with malice. So I don't really want to cover it. I think the dude from Max from Yo Video Games kind of talked about it too. It's like, we'll leave it alone because it's kind of hyping up or giving attention to somebody who's kind of being a dick. You know what I mean? So yeah, we're ready to move on from that. But
very cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, I think we're doing. Did you do your Harry Potter thing?
I didn't do it.
All right, we'll do it next week.
Yeah, I took it off.
Let's talk some music news and reviews. So this week, usually in the March time, March 1st is when the Warped Tour lineup drops, and this year was no different. The 25th anniversary. 3 dates: Columbus, Ohio; Atlantic City, New Jersey; and was L.A., San Francisco, somewhere.
L.A. Yeah.
L.A. I'd like to address that for all the good bands that Dayton, Columbus, and every in-between city in Ohio has cranked out, bands like Attack Attack, bands like The Devil Wears Prada, bands like Beartooth, so on and so forth, they got shafted for this year's Warped Tour.
Yeah.
Brutally shafted. Like BBC shafted.
Yeah, it's
miserable.
It's a little underwhelming.
And here's the worst part. That's the closest one.
Yeah.
And if it was like worth it, I'm sure we could maybe kind of talk to the wives.
Yeah.
But now it's like, are you fucking stupid for that lineup?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the thought process was behind it. I mean, I guess it says grand opening, so I guess they're having their own like wing or something in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so maybe that's why they felt the need to do it there. But it's very, very underwhelming. I mean, I like Emery. Hawthorne Heights is great, but
that's about it.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, the Cleveland one's kind of disappointing. Now the other ones, I talked briefly about it with my wife. I'm like, it's like a really good Warped Tour year, but the problem,
but it's 2 days.
But the problem is that it's 2 days, and I think the set of logistics of booking a band for a summer is a lot more complicated. But I think with a couple of days, the only 3 days being the format that they're rolling with, they probably could have done a lot better. Now, all
right, because I was speaking to my girlfriend, and we got to go back out to PA this year. And Atlantic City's 2.5 hours from where she stays. It's not very much of a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, hey, why don't we go to the Atlantic City Warped Tour? And we're looking at the bands, and there's a couple for her, but there's a bunch for me, right? And she mentioned something that really kind of, grabbed my attention. She said, "Do you remember when we were supposed to go to Riot Fest last year, 2 years ago? And there was a whole bunch of bands we all enjoyed, but there wasn't enough band per day to justify even a 1-day ticket, let alone a 3-day pass." And I feel like this is going to be the same setup. Because it'd be stupid to put all your hens in one basket and put all the good bands on like the Saturday or Sunday or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And then, nobody shows up to the day prior or the day after.
Yeah.
So, Warped Tour, the ghost of its former self.
Well, I mean, it's kind of expected. We knew that. But maybe the single day would have been better.
Hey, Cali gets Silent Planet, though.
If
it was a single day, totally different story.
Yeah, they do. They also get August Burns Red. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like a really good Warped Tour year, but the problem being that it's a 3-stop thing, and like
you think that for the 25th anniversary would be the last cross country Warped Tour and calling it quits, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Kevin Lineman tweeted out that the day you drop the Warped Tour lineup is like the best day and the worst day, because half the fans are going to love it and the other half of the fans are going to be like, what the fuck is this garbage?
Which is true.
Yeah, it is absolutely true. And I get it, and I'm not so much upset about the lineup, because the Atlantic City one has a lot of bands I enjoy, like 311 and blah, blah, Less Than Jake, all that good stuff. But it's just turned into this festival, really, is what it is. It's not the Warped Tour anymore. It's a festival. And I stopped going to those a very long time ago, my friend.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going anyways, obviously. But
you'll catch me at the Bottom Lounge way before you catch me at another festival.
Yeah.
And that's just the way the apple falls.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a bummer. But, hey, man, like you said, it's, obviously I'm not going to be able to go anyway, so it is what it is. I mean, like I said, I'm glad that they're keeping it kind of...
We had our run.
Yeah.
And we had our fun, and we had our good times, and we had our shitty Warped Tours, and we had our great Warped Tours.
Yeah.
And
honestly, man, like, I know people are like, oh, man, I've had bad Warped Tours. I never really did. Even the years where the lineup was not great.
Maybe less memorable doesn't necessarily mean bad.
Yeah. I mean, but I always had fun. There was always something to do. You know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10, every time my dad was playing. So I had somebody.
Love those guys.
Yeah. So, yeah, man.
As you may know from the podcast.
Oh, yeah. You may have mentioned that a time.
Yeah, just this kind of small band.
Yeah. that you're
all
into.
Right. So we tried. Well, we were supposed to do a 10-song set list for Cage the Elephant. Jake, what happened, man?
So,
to be honest, I'm not going to be offended.
Okay. So you talked about it. I'm like, okay, I'm not super familiar with Cage the Elephant, but I'll give it a shot. Dude, I was hard pressed to find one song that I liked, let alone 10.
Not even Ain't No Rest for the Wicked?
No, dude. I'm like, this song drives me fucking nuts. And when it came up, I'm like, oh no, not these fucking guys.
You just couldn't do it.
You just couldn't do it, man.
That's fine.
But now with that, we were able to agree
reconcile.
Yeah.
I think you texted me Monday or Tuesday, and you're like, man, this is gonna be rough. I was like, well, we could switch it if you want. And you're like, no. We committed.
Yeah.
And then the next day, you're like, can we switch it, please?
I can't do it, dude. I couldn't do it because I sat in my office for like maybe 3 hours. I'm like, nope. No, dude. Oh God, what the fuck was that? And I'm
Unfortunate.
Like, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I need to revisit this.
Let's regroup.
Yeah. So I put my shuffle on, and fucking Avalanche by The Ghost Inside came out. I'm like, why the fuck are we not doing The Ghost Inside? So I'm like, let's fucking do The Ghost Inside. A, because they're back, and B, because they sold out their fucking show.
6,300 people sold out in 30 minutes or less.
Absolutely fucking fantastic.
I tossed this question out to you when we talked about it. You think they're bigger now?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, because I think here's the upside of all the things that happened to them. Obviously, it's a horrible incident. But all these bigger bands, like the Bring Horizons of the world and the August Burns Red of the world, when this incident happened, shouted them out, be like, hey, support these guys. These guys went through a lot. And that's a lot of exposure on that front. So maybe these guys or these bands that may not be fans who may not even been listening are like, well, at the very least, here's some cash and let's see what they sound like. And that was like a good infection vector for these people. And, man, like I said, I couldn't have it to a nicer set of guys.
I think that played a big role, but I think even the accident itself, people are drawn to this, like...
Comeback story?
Not even the comeback story, man. People are just drawn to fucked up shit. You ever driving down the street and you see an accident, and you start craning your neck over, and you don't know why? You're just really interested?
Yeah. I
feel like the accident, as terrible as it is, I think it drew a lot of attention to the community where people are like, oh, well, these guys are a metalcore band. What? oh damn, that's fucking wild. And then you kind of, maybe they came on shuffle, or maybe your buddy knows some Ghost Inside songs and you throw them on and you're like, wow, this is fucking proper metalcore.
Yeah.
And I feel like that. And I want to talk a little bit off the air about what movie we're going to talk about next week, but it just kind of brought that up. But I think it's a very fair statement, because they were 100th was open up for them, and I'd say as an album piece, Let Go is probably, as a whole album experience, kind of same vein as There Is a Hell. I'd say Let Go is arguably a better album experience than anything the Ghost Inside has. But what the Ghost Inside has is a lot of fucking bangers, and their last album feels like a collection of like the best of, really, and even the one before that. And they crank out a lot of masterpieces. So I think it's fair and fitting that we do a 10-song set list. I have mine carefully constructed.
Oh, so you want to go first then, or you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So we're going to open up with Engine 45, the classic song. I think this was the first song they rehearsed when they started playing again, too. We're going to move into Move Me. Banger. Out of Control number 3. Face Value number 4. And then these two, I think, are going to be kind of outliers. I don't know if you test these on here. 5 and 6 is Dark Horse and The White Light. I think that's a very good transition. Yeah, I know. If you listen to that album, though, the way it works is very beautiful. 7 is an old one, Downbeat. 8 is Mercy, probably my second favorite track off that album. 9 is Avalanche, and 10 is Dear Youth.
Okay.
Closing out with that.
All right. So that's what I got. I wouldn't say carefully, but I did put some thought into the placement of these songs. All right. I'm opening it up with Avalanche just because I imagine them fucking walking out to the fucking yeah. Oh god. I hope they open up with it when they come on their show. Oh my god, this would be sick. Moving down to Dark Horse. Fucking sick, like you said, and you mentioned it. 3, Out of Control, which I think we had it in the same spot. Between the Lines, a little bit older. Yeah. Love it. Good stuff. Faith or Forgiveness, even older than that. Unspoken, Disintegrator. Now, this is I feel like the song doesn't get a whole lot of love. This is one of my favorite, the Ghost Inside song, Wide Eyed.
With Jason Butler?
I fucking love it.
Yeah, it's really good, man.
I fucking love it.
If they could get him out. Well, I think he's from Cali, too.
He is. Yeah, that would be sick. Oh, God, imagine that.
Have Fever open up for Ghost Inside.
Oh, my God. Okay. Engine 45, and last but not least, Dear Youth to close out the set.
That's such a good fucking track.
Yeah, it's such a great song.
And like I said, man, when this one comes on this time, after everything, after the last 4 years,
yeah,
it's going to have a whole new weight to it. It's going to be like adding an extra 45-pound plate on both sides.
Yeah. So yeah, that's some good shit, man. That's one of my favorite. Also, for those who are wondering, I did construct this on Apple Music. So if you want, you can go ahead and search up 10-song set list of the Ghost Inside. In the description, it says featured on the Second City Kids podcast.
Very cool. That being said, they did mention that they were kind of upset that they sold out the show.
Yeah.
And I spoke about this last week, so I'm going to keep it short and concise. They're going to try and do something to accommodate everybody else. And I don't know if they're going to be able to switch venues very easily, because you're going to bring 6,300 people with you.
Yeah.
And then you got to accommodate probably like 4,000 more. I think 10 would be a pretty good number to getting close to selling out. Not quite, maybe day of. But I think the consensus amongst the community is that they're probably going to stream the show.
I'm thinking on Twitch. I think it would be a big deal.
Yeah, Vigil streams.
Yeah.
And yeah, if that's the case, man, let's do it.
Yeah, I think I might blow it up on the big screen. You can watch it here if you want.
Very cool.
Put it up on the soundboard or something.
Good return.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see what happens moving forward. Hopefully, like you said, there's a way where all who want to enjoy will get the opportunity to.
If they so happen to switch venues, I am hopping on a ticket, though.
Yeah, for sure this time?
Yeah. Man, I told you, man, work was fucking busy, and Friday I had like a stack of shit to do. And then, before I knew it, it was 12:30, and I was like, 12:30, what was I supposed to do? And I look at, I open up Twitter, and I was like, sold out. God damn it.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, it's going to be that. Like I said, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. That show, to me, is probably going to be the show of the year. It's going to be very hard to beat that.
So, along with one band you didn't enjoy this week, Cage the Elephant, there was another band. I kept pestering you. I felt like I was like, sit down and listen to this. And you didn't really you didn't commit till Thursday about this. So this band is called the Lost Boys Collective. They dropped
we actually skipped something, Gabe.
What did we skip? Oh, yeah. We'll get back to that. I want to talk about this, though. So they dropped a 3-song demo, EP, whatever the fuck you want to call it, late last year. And it kind of went under the radar because it was 3 songs, and it was a band that's kind of unknown, really.
Yeah.
Put it gracefully. And it came across my Discover Weekly, and I had some pretty big things and big words for these guys, and I told you to listen. What'd you think?
All right, so it's interesting because I think the presentation of this single is interesting because there's 3 tracks involved. There's like an intro sounding thing.
It's a track,
yeah,
but it's not enough to stand out on its own.
And it's transitioned seamlessly into the main track, which is Yellow Wallpaper. And then there's like an outro interlude at the end.
Yeah, it's technically a track, but again, not enough to justify.
Yeah. So it's like one big piece. Now, I listened to it. Okay, I listened to it. All right.
Did you listen to the whole, or did you listen to the Yellow Wallpaper first?
I listened to it as a whole. I got through it, and I noticed some of the interesting little nuances about this track. All right. Let's talk about the fact that they put the symphonic part forward, super forward. All right.
Yeah, it's right in your face.
Now, there's a lot of bands that do the orchestra sound, but it's mainly background noise, mainly stuff to fill.
It's supplemental.
Yeah, to fill the gap. They put these things
right in your fucking face,
up forward, right leveled with the guitar, and I think it's tremendously interesting. All right, it's a very interesting vibe. I got this Metallica and then the San Francisco Orchestra vibe from it.
Don't discredit this band like that.
No, first off, whoa. we respect Metallica in this household.
All right,
but it's very interesting. It's a unique blend. It's like having that ground beef, but you have a little bit of like filet mignon kind of grinded into, with the chuck.
That's very good.
You know what I mean? You got a little bit of that mix, but you're gonna have a fucking fantastic burger because that filet mignon is in there. I took a page out of Gabe's book on that one.
Yeah, man, I love the food stuff.
Yeah, so we took that, and it's just a very weird, kind of puts you off balance, but it's like in a good way.
It's like when you go to Jewel and you pick up some wine, and then you're like, damn, I can't believe this thing was like $10.
Yeah,
like this wine's really fucking good.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's a very weird track. Performance wise, the band did a great job. I was immediately, because you know me, at first I was immediately off put by the clean vocals. You know me, at first I'm like, what the fuck? But
it works well, and it integrates every other part of this track.
Yeah, and
the clean vocals is like really the stitching, man.
Yeah,
it's there, and you see parts of it, but it's not the main attraction.
Yeah. So I listened to it a couple times. I enjoy it. My wife's like, this is weird. I'm like, it is weird. I'm like, but I like it. It's very interesting. It's unique. Unique is very hard to come across these days and age when it comes to the metalcore genre.
I think any genre, really, but yeah.
It's very unique. It stands alone. And I looked at this band's website. They got like a very artistic Picasso.
Like aesthetic.
Yeah, aesthetic going along with it. And I'm like, you know what?
It works.
I like that.
It's just the right amount of douche.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you said the name, I'm like, that name like automatically does not appeal to my interest. I know it's like a very minor thing, but a name is a pretty big part of the band.
No, your name is the identity of the band and the music you're cranking out.
Absolutely. So that whole Lost Boys thing, I'm just like, whatever. I kind of rolled my eyes at it.
I think it was interesting.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a reference to something. I can't quite put my finger on it, though. I feel like I've read something about a Lost Boys collection.
It's probably like a philosophy or something like that.
I don't know, man. Maybe it was like in the Goonies or some shit. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's something I've come across before. But this piece, man, initially I didn't really notice. Well, I did notice. I wasn't attracted to what you kind of threw out. The first thing that really fucking drew me in is, and let's talk about this. This is their first piece of work on Spotify. I don't know how it is on iTunes.
About the same, yeah.
I don't know if they have anything out before this. I didn't dive deep into that. But the fucking production values. Holy shit. Who did this?
I don't know.
I need a name. I need a name right now.
There's a man named Will Putney. No.
I would not doubt it.
Yeah, it's very good.
This is, you don't get this from a new band.
No,
this is a new band at the end of the day. And it I don't know if this is a super group or what. And if it's not, I think there's a lot of weight to my words because I'm trying to figure out if this is a super group or not. There's a lot of shit that goes on in this track.
Yeah.
And first and foremost, I think the question on this podcast is, does it smack?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Yes. But it it's a very well choreographed smack, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Wrestling is fake. WWE is fake, but there's some fights.
Wait, what? Next thing you're gonna know, you're gonna fucking tell me Santa Claus doesn't exist. All right, sorry, keep going.
But you know when you watch a Jeff Hardy fight
match, yes,
yeah, and he's flying around, and
you're
he's
like,
doing all
you
this
fucking
wild stuff.
idiot, yeah.
But all your core wrestling principles are there.
Yeah,
and I use this term very loosely. It's a grounded fight, and like I said, I use that very loosely with the Hardy brothers.
Yeah,
but there's so much flair and finesse and kind of art almost that goes into the match that it's a work of its own. Like the Hardy Bros don't fight like many other wrestlers.
Yeah.
Or many other wrestlers don't fight like the Hardy Bros.
Yeah.
And I think maybe one of the closer comparisons I can make is Rey Mysterio, but even then he's
it's
more
different.
Yeah, it's different, but he has that intrinsic flair to it.
It's like when I did not think we were going to get into the philosophy of wrestling when we got into this started this podcast. When Rey Mysterio wrestles, there is a level of rehearsalness to it because due to the fluidity of the movement, it has to be right. Now, when Jeff Hardy throws himself off something, you're like, he's throwing himself off something, and that's where we are with that.
Yeah. So, the Lost Boys Collective is a group I'm going to follow very closely, and I'm excited to see what they're cranking out next because you put it very well, man. This EP is really just the wrapping. It's the unwrapping of a gift. You get the box, you get the toy, and you get all the fluff and stuff and the tissue paper, whatever it may be housing the toy. And this is it was presented in a very interesting manner. The production was great. There was a lot of new shit that was, I don't want to say new shit. It was very well done stuff presented in this package. That beef and filet mignon burger.
Yeah. It's interesting because like when you see, like I said, a lot of the aesthetic is these guys kind of like there's that kind of the guy had smoke coming off of him, and like the other guy looked like he was kind of melting into rain. It's very interesting.
I think aesthetic is very important, especially now in a day and age where like everybody's connected for a metal band, for any musician really, and these guys nail it. And I think the reason that they're so, I don't know, maybe appealing is that one, they're brand new, and two, because of that, they're still a fucking mystery.
Yeah, I looked at the names of the band, and I don't recognize any of the names.
Honestly, check it out, because this may not be, a newer track or anything like that. Like I said, it was dropped November of last year or something like that. But dude, this took me by storm.
Well, apparently they just released a like a live recording of the single, so like everything one room, one take. This guy, I think that's fucking.
So if they could nail it one take, man, that live performance is gonna be nuts.
I'm gonna listen to it because
I'm
genuinely curious how they pulled off some of these things.
You know what I'm kind of curious about? I'm curious to see if these guys are classically trained musicians that know like their Beethoven and their Mozart and shit like that. Because I feel like we don't get enough of that in the genre.
Yeah, interesting.
And if you told me that and you're like, yeah, these guys are classically trained vocalists, musicians, pianists, whatever it may be, I'd be like, I hear the influence.
Yeah. And
that's probably the highest praise I could give a new up-and-coming metalcore band that fuses
classical.
It's not even classical, man.
Orchestral.
It really is different, and it really is new.
Yeah.
And if you stand out like that with, your debut,
we're watching
you're going places. Yeah, we got our eyes on you. So good shit out there.
You know the last time I felt the kind of that way about a band, it's going to sound like really retarded in comparison.
What is it?
The last time I saw a band that really kind of like, I'm watching you, because like it kind of blew me away, was Motionless in White. Like their first, when Creatures came out, not even.
Creatures is one of my most highly regarded metalcore albums for good reason.
That shit put out, and I'm like, you guys are too new to be doing that type of stuff.
Hey, who the fuck you think you are out here?
Basically. So I'm kind of watching them like that.
I don't want to say they're imposing, because even the tracks don't have that many listens, and I feel like nobody's talking about these guys right now. But we need to be.
It's what it's going to be is that they're going to come up with like a full length, and the full length is going to be fucking phenomenal. And then you're going to hear people like us be like, man, I liked them since the fucking Yellow Wallpaper, bro.
But, man, I was talking to Maddie about this. I think the highest praise I could ever give an album is that it's a good experience and not just a collection of good singles.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference. Like, there is a hell. What is it, top 5 for you? Top 10 at least?
7.
7.
We did.
I'm
this.
sorry. Yeah, I forgot about that. But I feel like that's the highest praise you could ever give an album, is that this isn't a collection of songs. This is a whole story. This is a whole experience, and it's interwoven. It's part of you. And I feel like these guys can crank out something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And man, if you're totally lost in the sauce right now, first thing we said, does it smack? Yeah, it fucking smacks. Check out the Lost Boy Collective's Yellow Wallpaper.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk some Day to Remember.
So they announced a little tour. Day to Remember, a little band. You may have heard of them.
Out of Ocala, Florida.
Yeah. Local guys going on their first big tour. No, seriousness though, Day to Remember, one of the bigger bands of the genre, probably the last 15 years, probably.
Yeah,
and,
very easily.
And man, they got themselves a little tour with a bunch of.
It's a very interesting tour because they're easy core.
Well, yes and no.
All right,
because the Day to Remember has done this before. The Day to Remember has done tours with like August Burns Red and shit like that in the past. So,
aren't they like palsy-walsy with August Burns Red?
Well, they're from what I understand, they're pretty much palsy-walsy with everyone. Yeah,
that's good to hear.
Every person they come across there, because generally the idea or the perception is that they're nice guys. But so yeah, they've done stuff like this, and they've taken on bands that were like maybe like I was thinking like We Came as Romans when they were like new, like these bands that that's got some heat behind them. And instead of kind of going against the current, which I feel like a lot of bands that are at the top of the mountain feel like maybe to go against the current a little bit, just kind of to protect their spot. Day to Remember's like, fuck it, let's get those fans into our fucking party too. And again, I'm not the biggest Day to Remember fan in the world. We've talked about this in the past, but I do embrace that, or I do accept that they are part of embracing of the culture, which has helped the culture move forward, right? So they're taking on Knock Loose,
yeah,
and Boston Manor. I think it's very interesting, and I think
should be fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great show for all those to go. I probably won't go.
Well, here's the issue: their quote unquote Illinois stop is half-assed. It's at Peoria, which is not the issue, because if you like them enough, you'll make the trip. The issue is that they're playing at a festival without Knocked Loose in Boston Manor.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
but for everybody else, go out there and enjoy it, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good show.
I have a couple of their records on vinyl, but one of them has like their pictures all in the background, and my girlfriend was like, "Yeah, they're really not the best looking band, but they put out good music."
Hey man,
like they're really not good looking guys.
Well, that's another thing that I appreciate about them is that they never really relied. Like it was like the douchiness level was more of like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a self-assuming, like, yeah, we're douches because we wear, Hollister t-shirts and stuff. But like, and they do the stupid two-step thing. But like, they never really had that like douchey rock star vibe to them, which I really appreciate about them because it was very easy, especially coming from that era of like the Escape the Fates, where like it was all about wearing leather jackets and fucking eyeliner. But
Escape the Fate, Pierce the Veil.
Yeah.
Let's not get into that.
But so yeah, I'm going to give A Day to Remember some props on the show. Because I feel like...
Yeah, man. It really does fuse their two genres with their openers. Yeah. And that's smart.
It's awesome.
That's good marketing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Knocked Loose been killing it, man.
Yeah. They're getting... man, they're good. Because I'm watching them, and I'm just like, that's a beast.
They're swelling.
That thing is a beast. You know what I mean?
Choo-choo.
Now, I think the only band to kind of come from the same kind of cloth that's bigger is like Code Orange. That's just due to the fact that they're getting like all sorts of mainstream love from like all the big rocks that like the Corey Taylors of the world and stuff like that. But hey, man, it is what it is. But
it's a bubble, man.
Yeah,
it's gonna burst when that new album drops.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's gonna be big. But yeah, so I think it's kind of awesome. I just wanted to mention that.
Very cool. Talk to me about Limbs.
So, real quick, my buddy Still World, Dan from Still World, has got an awesome show booked with The Plot and You and like Moms to Flames, right?
That's wild, man. I think I mentioned that when you told me, but it's like he's touring with Plot and You, Moss to Flames, and there's another band on that bucket that I enjoy. But
and Limbs. So
they're hopping on too.
So yeah, I at that point, because I'm looking at this lineup, I'm like, that's a fucking good lineup, and I'm like, they would not toss in a garbage ass band on a lineup like this. I'm like, so let me check them out. Got into it. All right,
smacks.
It's some really good shit, man, and I think it's right up your alley. Be careful now, Gabe. I don't want you to get sucked in and then have them fucking go shoegaze on us, like every other fucking man that you like. But I like it. Now, I think, and again, this is me. When it comes to cleans, I'm very off-put by it, right? Because there comes with a certain level of disingenuousness with it when it comes to certain bands. Way to where it comes to mind. But with this, the cleans, it's very raw. It's very raw feeling, and I appreciate that. I feel like he didn't clean up the vocals because it's not accurate to what he can actually do, right? So I listened to it. I got about halfway through their album. I think it came out last year. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
But bring back what I mentioned prior is that it kind of makes you to think that this dude is touring with bands like this. Well, he's opening up for bands like this.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you sit down like, damn, where did we go wrong?
Yeah, well.
And we had some playful banter, but
yeah,
we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on a later date. But so yeah, man, proud of my boy. Going to be a great show. I'm going to try to go. It's a Sunday. I'm going to try to make my way out.
Yeah, man, should be fun. I'll let you know if I'm going.
Absolutely.
But let's close this show out with some bad news.
Yeah, so I think on both mine and Gabe's highly anticipated albums is this band Capsize. I guess had a sexual assault allegation placed against them, or not them, but I guess the guitar player.
One of the members, yeah.
The guitar player in particular, and I think it's coming at a really bad time. I don't know the circumstances. I'm not going to say who's guilty, who's not. But because obviously I don't know the situation, I wasn't there. But I think if it's true, I think it's a tremendously shitty thing to do. I think groundbreaking, sexual assault, horrible. Good job, Jacob. Great call. Anyway, but
we're in this day and age where you see, because there's two sides of this coin, and I don't want to be insensitive or anything, because if you toss it out there, we're gonna believe you, unless there's evidence otherwise, right? But it's sad to see it happen to a band that we enjoy, and it's also sad for the victim of said sexual abuse. But there comes this kind of play where I'm not too sure how long ago this happened, but shouldn't you bring it to the forefront immediately?
Yeah,
is my mentality of it.
Yeah,
because I feel like these guys, and I'm not trying to discount either side here. Like I said, I'm not trying to be that guy.
Yeah,
I'm not being pro sexual assault. I'm not. But to me, at least, and I've never been a victim of this, it's this kind of thing where, well, wouldn't this have been like, let's get this out immediately, because it's, maybe the wound was too fresh. I don't know what it was. Like I said, I can't speak from experience, but it's been a couple months, man. It's been some time.
Yeah. And with that, Capsize got pulled off their tour with Bless the Fall.
So, I think Guitarist is gone too.
Yeah, I think he took a step down. Now, I read the statements from the guitar player, and he seemed very genuine. Granted, I don't know him, so I can't tell you if he's being 100% truthful. I don't know. But I think, like you said, we get the day and age where these things come out, and it's almost guilty until proven innocent kind of a deal. Yeah. And it's very hard to prove somebody
It's innocent. A very thin sheet of ice to walk on.
Yeah.
Because, man, and I'm like already walking on eggshells talking about this.
Yeah.
But it's this mentality of, did he do it actually? Because if that's the case, then yeah, he should step down.
Absolutely.
Or is it they're having a case of mild success and you're having a case of regret? And like I said, maybe this isn't applicable at all to this instance. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure there's instances of this situation out there.
Yeah. Because, like, I read the comments, and these comments are fucking cesspools.
Brutal, yeah.
And, I think it's important to ensure that the victim is not further victimized moving forward, especially when we don't know what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It should be settled in a court of law, and then we could pass judgment.
Yeah, because I took this on and off a couple of times because I'm like, I don't know if I want to talk about it, because I feel like we often cover all the good stuff, but there's some bad shit in there.
Yeah, there definitely is.
So
and man, it's gonna be hard to find a band that doesn't get a sexual assault allegation.
Yeah, it's just
it's terrible. It is terrible. But
I don't know what else to say about that, but it's rough.
It's unfortunate. You know who handled that situation very well because they had something similar going on? See Space Cowboy is a band that I brought up. They handled it out of the public eye before the allegations were even out. They settled it. They're like, all right, man, you're gone. Goodbye. Replaced. And by the time the thing came out,
he was gone.
Space.
Former.
Yeah, he's been gone 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We took care of it.
Yeah.
And they took care of it very, I don't want to say like hush hush, but it was like you could tell that he was gone because it wasn't cool, and not because it was like you have
Saving
a rapist
face.
in your band.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know? And I think there's a difference in that.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Now, as far as another person, I mean, we're moving along, but like another person who handled, I don't want to say allegations, but criticism about the actions that they took. Recently, Tim from As I Lay Dying was like, I guess they signed, they were coming to town, I think some town in Tennessee, and they
Canceled their show.
And, did that. I think his response was probably the most classy thing he could probably say in that particular instance. He's like, I made a mistake. I pay for it every day. He's like, I understand their perspective and why they don't want me around. I get it. Just, hope that one day that you guys will give me the opportunity to make it right. And I think that's probably the best thing a person can say in that particular scenario. Because I think it'd be real easy. And whether if he feels that way or not, again, that's a guy who comes off as very disingenuous sometimes. So whether he feels it or not, I don't know. But it'd be really easy
in
for
his
him.
situation. That was best card to play.
Yeah, it'd been really easy for him to like, well, fuck you guys anyways. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
You kind of almost feel bad for the Tennessee people because I can't imagine that a lot of bands come through. Well, Tennessee's not that bad. I feel terrible for like kids in Arkansas.
Yeah,
they don't get fucking jack shit.
Definitely. So I don't know. Gabe, you got any certified bangers this week?
Dude, Lost Boys Collective's just kind of. Yeah, man, we talked about it. That's all I got, honestly.
Yeah, that's basically all I got.
It's been kind of a dry week, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, it's not the highest week in the world, but you got to find some news sometimes.
You know what I was thinking on the way over here?
What?
This time last year, we had a very clear-cut album of the year that held its spot for 6 months. And I think that says a lot about that Plot in You album.
Well, yeah, I mean...
the Plot in You album.
That particular Plot in You album.
There we go.
I don't know, but...
I'm sure something will come along the way, but I think it gives credit to what they did.
I think we've had a bunch of real. I think the reason why the Plot in You album Dispose was so good is because it was so head and shoulders above everything else that came out.
Yeah.
While so far this year we've gotten a bunch of good stuff, but
in the same ballpark,
but not something that's just head and shoulders over everything else. So I think I don't know. I think it's an interesting
Plot in
place.
You was playing in Wrigley. Everybody else is playing at your local park.
Yeah, it's a little interesting. So I guess I don't know. I think is that a good thing? I don't know. Is it better to have a whole bunch of really good little releases, or is it good to have those fucking constant, those things that come around every 3 months that are just really?
I don't know, man. I think this is going to be a good year. The year of discovery. Yeah. We got a lot of good stuff coming our way, and I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, we spent an hour and about 40 minutes on the pod. So with that, you guys can go ahead and like us on Google Play, Spotify, Apple Music, I guess, since they're not taking us down.
Stitcher Radio, Podbean.
Yes, all that good stuff. Any place podcasts can be found, we will be there. You also go ahead and like us on Facebook if you so choose. You can also go ahead and like us on Twitter. Second City Kids, that's me. Gabe is Jabril. I tag him in a lot of stuff, so once you find me, you basically find him.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, but other than that, man.
It was a good episode.
It was a good episode. Yeah, definitely.
108.
Do you? I have this. Okay, I'm gonna have to collaborate with you on naming these things because I'm starting to run out of clever names. So maybe we could recap on maybe the festivities of the podcast and then come up with a clever name because it's really hard. I have 3 technical difficulties out there. You know what I mean?
We got a saga of technical difficulties.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man.
See, not a trilogy, a saga.
A saga of technical difficulties. But yeah,
there's the episode name, not a trilogy, a saga.
Because obviously steak, cheese, and sour cream is probably the most forward.
Iconic, yeah.
Yeah, but it is what it is. All right. So yeah, but with that, hope you guys enjoyed the show. See you back here for next week for 109. And until then, this is.